Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner and welcome to SalesOpShop. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Sean Maloney. He's a sales manager with KCom in Sheffield, England. Welcome, Sean.
Hi, Gerhard. Good to talk to you again.
Sean, can you tell us a little bit about your role in the company?
I'm a sales manager responsible for leading a team of 7 end-user salespeople, sales reps, we would call them, and we work in the enterprise division of KCom, and we sell to companies that you've probably heard of, like British Airways, Asda, Walmart, and banks like Barclays Bank. So that's the type of customers that we deal with.
What technologies do you use to make sales and marketing easier for you?
Well, the technologies that we have to use is Salesforce.com, that for me is the best Salesforce automation tool out there to make our sales guys more productive. In terms of best practice, we've introduced Miller Heiman blue sheets and green sheets for opportunity management, and we plan to extend that to gold sheets for large account planning. We do use LinkedIn in terms of targeting, which links into Miller Heiman, so we actually target the customers which fit our ideal customer profile. And what we're doing at the moment, we're investigating introducing content management. We have heard that when a buyer now comes into the buying arena, they've self-educated themselves to be something like 57% of the way on their journey. And I was reading one of your recent articles. I think they said that the buyers now are more in control of the sales process than ever before, and I would totally agree with that.
So I imagine that you have a website filled with rich content.
We're trying to get there. We looked at the website and it probably wasn't best in class. We are doing work and development on that, ultimately for it to become what I would term really the shop window for buyers. So buyers find us rather than we have to find buyers. And I can remember when I started in sales, many eons ago, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, the sort of first sales guru I came across was Tom Hopkins, yeah, and he defined selling. You probably remember Tom. I think he's been a 30-40 year vet at it, and here's the time he defined selling as finding people to sell to and then selling the people you find. But I think it's changed over the years. I think what it is now is helping buyers to find you. Yeah, they find you, educate themselves, and then they make contact with the buyer. So,
how has social media impacted your sales?
We are using social media in terms of finding customers. Sales, again, as said, on the journey, we've probably been a bit like laggards really in terms of using social media. Our marketing people, especially our marketing director, has been much more of a protagonist and a guru of social media, but ultimately we are using Twitter extensively to establish our brand presence. So for instance, when we are at events, we set up Twitter feeds so people find us. We're using things like social listening tools. We are trying to establish our brand using Net Promoter Score, and we're using social listening tools for us to find out how well our message is received in the marketplace, so we can enhance our brand presence. Yeah, and I think one of the best sales books I've read last 5 or 6 years was a book from Craig Elias. Trigger event selling, it's all about. I can call it shift selling. And what he says these days for a successful sale and buyer, they've got to know you, trust you, they've got to like you, and they've got to want you to get the business. And this is all about knowing you and trusting you. For me, it's getting the brand out there so they know who you are, what you do, and where you've done it before. So you immediately got brand credibility and you've got a base of trust to be established. Then the sales guys can take over in terms of get them to like them, and relationship management is very important. But ultimately, find out what these people's personal win is. Yeah, so they can link their sales skills to this personal win. But marketing having helped halfway along the journey at least.
You're passionate about sales enablement. How do you define that term?
I think in terms of, I would say, it is providing the sales team, the sales guys, with all the tools to be successful. And we are in the era of sales 2.0, yeah, and it's helping our sales guys to focus where they can be successful, because ultimately what a sales guy, the most important commodity that a sales guy has got is his time. And we look at most sales guys that I've come across probably were at least 50 hours, possibly 60 hours a week. And what we've got to do is we've got to change that activity into productivity. So it's giving all the tools, ultimately either to find people to sell to, but better still to help customers and prospects to find us. But then providing the tools once the engagement made, things like all the collateral, the case studies, testimonials. A big fan of playbooks, yeah. But ultimately, that's the collateral. I think we've got a big responsibility also in terms of training and developing our people as well, yeah. So it's ultimately giving the collateral, the skills, the coaching, but also the leadership as well to be successful. Yeah, we're in an age where I think, for what it's worth, I think management is possibly dead and leadership has superseded it. You can't make people do anything these days. You've got to lead them and want them to do it for you. So leadership and collateral and wherewithal for me are what underpins sales enablement.
So it sounds like you're defining sales enablement as a set of tools and processes, and also as a mindset to help the field people in the field.
I think that's probably something of what I believe it is, yeah.
And you also said something interesting. You want to transform activity into productivity. What is your secret sauce for increasing productivity?
It really is all about this commodity of time. And we spoke about this ideal customer profile is making sure we only play where we stand a chance of winning. And using the ideal customer profile, using Miller-Heiman model of demographics and demographics, the measurables, psychographics, the qualitative aspects. So we only play where we can be successful. And so we're working very hard on the ideal customer profile, marketing to that base, using LinkedIn to find the decision makers within the ideal customer profile. And one of the stats that we've heard is 50% of decision makers are use LinkedIn. So we're using LinkedIn to identify who the right people should be within the ideal customer profile. But then one of the best tools that I ever came across in terms of qualification, Gerhard, do you remember power-based selling?
Sure.
From Holden?
Jim Holden, yeah.
And it's based on Sun Tzu's Art of War. The big question that most qualification methodologies come up with, is there really an opportunity? Should we compete? If we do, what's our competitive strategy? And he talks about direct, indirect, divisional, or delay. Yeah, and then ultimately, once you've qualified it, is it really worth it? And I take that back to sort of any sales guy will have in terms of time management. He's probably got 10 deals that he's got in his pipeline. 3 is probably certain to win, or 80% likely to win. But the other end of the funnel, there's 3 that is never going to win. So if we can spot the 3 out of the 10 is never going to win, it allows them to focus on the 4 of them that they could win or lose to spend his time. So one of the questions is time. One of the secrets was time management. I think also is ensuring that sales and marketing is absolutely aligned these days, as it's a sort of ingredient of a world-class sales organisation. And when I started in sales, we didn't need marketing. You were able to literally phone decision makers up, and they would take a call from you because they wanted to know what you were doing, possibly their competitors. So they were using you to educate themselves. That was the benefit of seeing you. But now they won't do that. They've got a million ways to keep you out. So marketing is, for me, the only tool to get that message. And social media, for me, is the most effective of those marketing tools we've got available now. And so finally, we talk about leadership. You've got to be close to your people. You've got to look after your people. Every sales guy I've ever come across that's very, very good, they've got the odd flaw as well. Salesforce might not always be up to date. They may not be good at paperwork, but they're really good at developing relationships, and they're really good at closing business. So I think sometimes you've got to put support mechanism around these people to make sure they can do what they're really good at. So we don't weaken their strengths by trying to get to focus on the weaknesses.
So how do you drive up user adoption of Salesforce.com?
I think it's a very, very good question, that, and you can either impose on it or bring them along the journey. And if you use it, and so how a sales guy can use it. Most sales guys want to be successful and want the tools to do it, and you can either impose on it as a tool for the organization to check up on you, have you updated it, what's your pipeline coverage and all that. The way to bring sales guys to use it is to show them how it's going to help them in their role, and using the workflow within Salesforce, because we talk about the sales that people are involved with, it involves multiple people in our organization, and using the workflow tools within Salesforce rather than have to send emails to them is a way of actually keeping people involved in it up to date. And that. So ultimately the way to get adoption is what's in it. It's always the thing, what's in it for me? And what's in it for sales guy? If they can make his job easier, make him more effective, make him more successful, and show him how to do that, they'll buy into it. If you impose it as an opportunity management tool that I'm going to check up on you with, they won't do it, or they'll do it grudgingly, which for me is not what it's about.
So finally, can you describe the process you follow to deliver customer value?
I think value means different things to different people. And what we look to do is sell. One of the courses that I went on was a course called the Value Wheel, and it so identified 4 different levels of value. And on it said commodity value, functional value. It talked about business value and enterprise value. And our customers, we want to be able to sell commodity value for the people who want commodity. Functional value is what benefit we do provide for them to make their job better, easier, more successful, and so on. The business value is ultimately how it's going to drive ROI and money for the organization. But what we're trying to go in terms of our journey of significance with our customers is this thing called enterprise value, and it's ultimately based on what you know of our industry. Is what does the future entail? What should we be looking at in 2, 3, 4 years' time, and so on. So what we're trying to do is move through commodity value to functional value to business value on this journey to enterprise value. So we're on a journey doing that. And how we do that is we have things called innovation days, which is we work with our customer in terms of defining what the art of the possible is and how we can implement that with them, but bring them along the delivery journey as well. Because so once we define what that vision is for them, is how we can deliver it with them, in terms of a way which delivers quality, good service, delivers the value as well, but ultimately makes it easy for our customers to buy from us as well. Yeah. And then how do we measure whether being effective? We're introducing something called Net Promoter Score. Yeah, which is something developed by a guy called Gschwandtner in his book called Ultimate Question, and it talks about the ultimate question: would you recommend KCom, or Gerhard would recommend you? And it measures the Net Promoter Score is the fans versus the detractors as a percentage, and that's your Net Promoter. So we measure our effectiveness in terms of delivering value, defining value with Net Promoter Score. So that's how we sell value, create value, deliver value, and ultimately measure value.
Thank you so much, John. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
I think it's great. I've really enjoyed listening in, and it's been an absolute privilege to take part in this webinar with you, Gerhard.